We are now almost 2 weeks removed from Liberation Day, the day Donald Trump imposed widespread tariffs across the world, and we can now see the political damage that he's done to himself, and it is significant. Where to start? So many numbers. All right, so I want to let's just go through a few places of where Donald Trump is right now, a few polling averages. All right, Nate Silver, who runs the Silver Bulletin Substack, has Trump at 45.5% approval to 50.9% disapproval. G. Elliott Morris, Strength in Numbers Substack, his polling average basically the same, 45.5 approval, 50.8% disapproval. Morris did G. Elliott Morris, who, if you don't follow him, used to be at ABC and is now on his own. He did something really interesting. He looked at the 8 polls that have been taken post-Trump's Liberation Day announcement. And he compared them to that same polling organization that had polled before Trump's Liberation Day announcement. The average change in Donald Trump's approval between polls taken before Liberation Day and those same polls, same institutions polling taken after Liberation Day, 7 points down. 7 points down. There's been a bunch of polls released in the last 24 hours just on Trump's approval. YouGov has him at 41% approval, 54% disapproval. TIPP, 43% approval, 50% disapproval. Quinnipiac, 41% approval, 53% disapproval. And let me do one more because I think it's really instructive. Then I'm going to get into where we go from here. CBS News did a bunch of questions about sort of Trump's tariffs in particular, and they released them over the weekend. Here are 2 really telling ones. Are Trump's policies making you financially better off or worse off? Worse off was 42% at the beginning of March. Now, 49%. Again, you see the increase there. How about this one? This is really daunting for Trump. Do you approve or disapprove of Trump's handling of the economy? On March 2nd, in a CBS poll, 51% of people approved, 49% of people disapproved. Now, 44% approve, 56% disapprove. So he's down 7 in terms of approval. He's up 7 in terms of disapproval. It's that 7. So basically what we can conclude is that Donald Trump's push on tariffs. Now, obviously, it was only a week long, and then he paused most of them except China. His push on tariffs cost him 7 approval points. His disapproval up 7, his approval down 7, basically across the board. All right, now before I get into what this all means, let me do a quick pitch, which is this. I'm a guy who spent 25 years in mainstream media, Washington Post, CNN, etc. I left that. I left it all behind to become an independent news creator. I am a guy who is looking at things through that journalism lens and calling balls and strikes no matter what uniform the batter at the plate is wearing. I think that is more important now than ever. We need people to tell you not just what you want to hear, but what you need to hear in politics. And that's the role I'm trying to fill. So if that appeals to you, I hope you subscribe and I hope you'll tell people. All right, so we can reasonably conclude that Donald Trump's embrace of tariffs, his public push for them, cost him 7 approval points. He now is in the mid to low-ish, so somewhere probably between about 43 and 46% approval across all polling, and his disapproval now for the first time in these polling averages, whether it's Nate Silver or G. Elliott Morris, is over 50%. This is still probably better than where Trump was at this point in 2017. So remember, Donald Trump's polling started never good. He was never over 50% at approval at any point in his first 4 years in office, which is in Gallup polling, which is the first time we have ever seen that happen. Now, that was not the case in early 2025. He actually started not at 60%, but at the low 50% approval. So he started at a higher place, but he is now fading downward and fading pretty quickly. Again, he's not even to his 100th day in office. That'll be at the end of this week. April 20th, I believe, will be his, April 30th will be his 100th day in office. So we're about 2 weeks away from that. And even before that, which has typically been the honeymoon period for presidents, you see Donald Trump's approval rating dipping to about where he was 8 years ago. What does it mean? Well, it gives him a little bit less political clout because I think Republicans will look at this, at least some of them will look at this, and they will say, okay, well, Donald Trump can't run again. He's already in the mid 40s in terms of approval. And so maybe now is my time to break with him. Now, the counter to that is this. Donald Trump's approval among Republicans is as strong as it's ever been. His erosion recently is mostly among independents. Many of these independents sort of were mildly supportive, mildly approving of him, and they've turned on him. But Democrats have been against him from the start. Republicans have been with him from the start. So the issue if you're a Republican lawmaker is if you do want to break with Donald Trump, he still retains significant power within the Republican Party. And he might well be able to, I don't know if make you lose a primary, but certainly make your life a lot harder in a primary. So my guess is you won't, even though Trump's numbers are on the decline, you won't see a lot of Republicans break from him. But Trump needs to find a way, a path back upward for Republicans to do well in the midterm election. So he does have time, right? It's April of 2025. It's not October of 2026. But what I would say is what we've seen is when a president's approval is under 50% heading into the midterm elections, that president's party tends to get clobbered in the House, and the Senate's a little bit more of a mixed bag, but definitely clobbered in the House. So if Donald Trump is at roughly where he is now, 43, 44, 45, in a year's time, I think you're going to see a lot of Republicans very worried, because I think that will mean that it's very likely, not guaranteed, but very likely that Republicans will lose their House majority come 2026. Senate's going to be tougher, I think. I think Republicans will retain the Senate unless the political environment goes absolutely sideways on them, which I don't see at the moment, but always could happen. What does Donald Trump do then to get more popular? That's a really interesting question. Again, Republicans and Democrat partisans are not going to change their opinions of him. Republicans are going to stay positive. Democrats are going to stay negative. So it's really that small-ish, independent, unaffiliated swing voters who he has to focus on. Why did those people like him in 2024? They liked him because he promised to lower prices on everyday goods. Now, that's a little bit of an oversimplification, but broadly speaking, that's why he won. I always remind people, 1 in 3 voters said the economy was the most important issue in their vote, and Trump won those voters 81% to 18% over Kamala Harris. So it was sort of the economy stupid when it comes to how Trump won that election. And what he did, focusing on tariffs, to me, while I know he believes in it at some level, politically, as I've said many times, it was incredibly stupid. Because it took his eye off the ball of lowering prices in everyday goods, and I think people started to realize, wait a minute, if there are tariffs on all of our goods, companies are going to pass those price increases down to us. So the thing that Trump got elected for, lowering prices on everyday goods, he's doing the opposite, right? So I think in a lot of ways, Trump let his eye off the financial and economic ball. So how can he get it back? Focus on why you got elected. Work on lowering prices. Yes, talk about eggs. He's talking about egg prices because they're down recently. Talk about egg prices. Talk about gas prices if they're down. Talk about what you are doing specifically to lower prices on a day in, day out basis for the average American. Spend way less time on tariffs and implementing them, because tariffs are not what people care about and mean, in the long run or even the medium run, higher prices, which is the opposite of what people want. So again, Trump's great gift here is he has time. He has time to fix this. But right now, he took a major hit, a 7-point hit. At least now, we don't know if he's hit bottom. Maybe he'll keep going down, but a 7-point hit to get down to where he is mid-40s approval, over 50% disapproval. It is again, colossally dumb political self-inflicted wound here, and now we know at least what we think is the extent of it, and it's as bad as I think we thought it was going to be. As always, I ask you to do a couple things. Subscribe, as I said earlier in this video. If you don't, I hope you consider this video makes you subscribe. You're not always going to agree with me. That's a good thing. You shouldn't always agree with someone. If you agree with someone 100% of the time, they're selling you something. I'm not selling you anything. Number 2, I hope you like and comment on this video and all my videos. It's easy. Give it a thumbs up. Give it a comment. Helps with the algorithm. Helps more people see, who aren't subscribers to me, see my content. And last, but certainly not least, I hope you just tell a friend or two about this. Just spread the word. Organic growth. Tell people what we're doing here. We're at 65,000 subscribers. We are marching to 70 and then onward to 100. That is my goal. I really hope you can help me get there. All right, everyone. Take care.